My name's Brian Rush. Welcome back to the lodge here at Rush Custom Callers YouTube channel. Let's have a seat and we're going to get back to the next episode. All right, so two topics I want to talk about on this one. Coaxing sounds and why they are so good at killing, and travel paths. Travel paths of least resistance, especially this time of year, snowmobile trails. Snowmobile trails are huge for your success in the field. So first thing is when I'm in the field and I'm starting the conversation, I became the destination point, whether I'm squealing with a rabbit squealer or if I'm a coyote doing coyote things and I'm vocalizing. Typically, I want to sound like that transient, non-threatening female stepping foot onto a property, and I'm just going to vocally communicate. I'm friendly, I'm here. You hear that apex of howl, and then there's a little rollover at the end. Super friendly, super inviting. So those two sounds right there, a distress sound and a coyote vocalization. Those two sounds have a catalyst. I'm a coyote doing coyote things. So the inquisitiveness picks up of the live coyote that you're communicating with, stressing this, and I've stressed it so many times before in videos, and I stress it because it is that important. You start the conversation, you became a destination point, they hear it, they want to see it, and then instinctually they're going to want to smell it. So you are a coyote doing coyote things. Those three things are super important to remember every time communicating with a mammal. Now, with a rabbit squealer, what was the catalyst? Or an e-collar, or any prey distress sound that you choose to use in the field, what was the catalyst for that animal to sound distressed? What was the catalyst? Was it a bobcat? Was it another coyote? Was it a fox? Did an owl swoop down, or a hawk, some other bird of prey, to make that animal sound distressed? So you pique the interest of the coyote or any other predator that you're pursuing. What was the catalyst for that prey to be in distress and actually vocalize? So there's still inquisitiveness. Don't think because I'm using a rabbit that you're just a rabbit. There was a catalyst for that rabbit to scream in distress. That's also something the animal is hearing. They're not just hearing a screaming rabbit, they're hearing the sound of a screaming rabbit, but what was the catalyst for it? So there is still that survival instinct of downwind movement. Downwind movement. They heard it, they want to see it, they want to smell it. Is it safe for me to come into that environment? So every stand that we've gone into where we're using a prey distress sound, rabbit squealer, hand calling, vocalizing to a coyote, we stop, we hit the brakes. A lot of times, silence is your best killer, and there's a coyote. It breaks the sanctuary of cover, and it's investigating what was that sound, where did it come from, and you piqued interest. You obviously piqued interest because you now have a visual. So the next thing I do, and I have a lot of videos out where the next sound you hear is speakers. I just use my mouth. If you just pucker your lips together, make that high-pitched kissing sound, or pointer finger to thumb, the webbing right here, you can exponentially pick up the actual pitch of tone. And depending on your ambient conditions outside with wind direction and how noisy the ambient wind is, coyotes will hear those lip squeaks easily 300 yards. So when we get a coyote to break cover, it's audibly, olfactory, and visually investigating and examining its surroundings. And something I've said before in other videos, every single coyote has ADD. And it is so easy to redirect focus of attention on a coyote. Yes, I was a coyote doing coyote things. I was vocalizing. They're looking for a coyote. And then the next thing they hear is lip squeaks and, ooh, easy meal. And how many coyotes we've had come across the field, not in a straight line, but watch their erratic movements as they're cutting distance on sound. It is so easy to redirect focus of attention from a rabbit squealer. There's potential danger with that. Or a coyote vocalization. There's potential danger with that. And then, ooh, look, a butterfly, something shiny in that zigzag. Recaptivate attention with a coaxing sound, whether it's your e-collar or something as simple as lip squeaks. Recaptivate attention. You will have so much more commitment, not to your downwind, but more commitment towards you, and yes, to your downwind, but so much more commitment to where the sound is coming from. Stop the animal before it gets to your downwind. Always ask the coyote to stop. Stationary targets are a hell of a lot easier to shoot and ethically take from the field than moving targets. So I'd appreciate it if you would like, subscribe. I have a huge library of videos for my YouTube channel, and I really appreciate everybody's support. So going with coaxing sounds and travel paths. So it is very, very difficult for my partner Andy and I to ignore one particular thing this time of year in upstate New York with the seasonally, the amount of snow that we had this year. It's so much easier for us to walk down a snowmobile trail or walk in a tractor rut. We're lazy. We're going to take the path of least resistance. And guess what the animal's going to do? They're going to take the path of least resistance. It is very hard for us, excuse me, to intentionally put a travel path to our downwind. Yes, there's two of us. We'll typically put ourselves in any scenario that we possibly can. We want to stay just on the downwind side of any pre-existing travel path to let the animal cut distance from habitat out of a snowmobile trail and cut distance to sound. If that opportunity doesn't arise, we'll call from the upwind side, but we'll always have a shooter and we'll spread out distance-wise where the shooter is always covering downwind, but we never ever want to leave that snowmobile trail uncovered. Even if where the habitat is much closer proximity for us to call into, there's a lot of recognition from coyotes in our area where even though from point A to point B in a straight line is quicker, less distance, it's actually easier and the animal's burning less caloric intake from habitat taking the snowmobile trail. It might be an extra 100 yards or so. I'm just making up a number, but depending on that distance, if it's not a country freaking mile away and that animal can take a snowmobile trail and do a loop to get to your downwind, it's gonna take the snowmobile trail. And this is something that I paid attention to all season long. From October, it's just as important as it is in October as it is in March. So where those pre-existing state-groomed snowmobile trails are or on private property, wherever those trails cut through, why were they there? They're a path of least resistance. There's a break in the hedgerow, there's a break in the stone wall fence, it's a straight shot from point A to point B where there's habitat, or even a trail that's cutting through the woods. If those trails are pre-existing, and they're being utilized, especially when they're being utilized for recreational snowmobiles in the wintertime, coyotes traverse those constantly. So even in the early season in October, don't ignore those paths of least resistance because they are legitimate highways for pretty much every predation population that we have in my demographic and your demographic. No matter where you are, never ignore those travel paths, especially when there's snow on the ground and that snow gets packed down by recreational use. Those coyotes are going to be taking those highways, and never ignore them. Try your best not to put them on your downwind side, and always be mindful. It's not just the habitat where you're calling the animal out of. How is the animal going to get to you as you becoming a destination point calling to that animal?